New York City's Mayor Eric Adams is beginning a 4-day trip to Latin America today.
Yeah, this comes as the city's grappling with an influx of migrants and a shortage of space to house them. Mayor Eric Adams is expected to visit regions in Mexico, Ecuador and Colombia. His administration says he'll meet local and national leaders and learn more about asylum seekers' various paths to the U.S. The mayor said yesterday he'll give asylum seekers the, quote, honest truth about what awaits them here in New York City.
There's a body of people who are there that are giving them false hopes and false promises. We want to give people a true picture of what is here. We're going to tell them that coming to New York doesn't mean you're going to stay in a 5-star hotel. It doesn't mean that the mere fact you come here, you automatically are going to be allowed to work. We're going to tell them what the real conditions are.
Well, Enrique Acevedo joins us now from Mexico City. Enrique, you know, is a CBS News contributor and an anchor for NMS. Enrique, good to see you. So Mayor Adams is saying that the main purpose of this trip is to tell migrants not to come to New York. But how much of an impact is he actually expected to have?
It's good to see you, Lana. The notion that undocumented migration can be dissuaded simply by asking migrants, asylum seekers, refugees not to come to the U.S. or by warning them about the dangers of their journey and the conditions upon arrival sounds unrealistic to me based on years of reporting on this issue from both sides of the border. And here's why. Mere warnings won't dissuade migrants when their livelihoods are at stake. The U.S. government, the State Department, has been trying that for decades without much success. And now with digital communications and disinformation campaigns, it's practically impossible to achieve that. Furthermore, trying to dissuade migrants without addressing the root causes of migration is like piling up sandbags to fight hurricanes instead of acknowledging climate change.
And meanwhile, Enrique, you know, here in New York City, Mayor Adams has really described this as an influx that the city can't afford to deal with, and they're demanding more money from the federal government. So I wonder if what he's doing is really for a domestic audience, not the migrants seeking help. But tell us about where he's going. I understand he's going to aim to hit several key passageways these migrants take. What will he likely see and learn there?
Well, here in Mexico City, it's unlikely that he'll, get to see or witness the migrant influx into the country coming from Central and South America. He'll travel to the state of Puebla, a state that has traditionally been a community that expels a lot of migrants to the United States. But these are basically Mexican migrants that are going there for work and for more of an economic reasons. Then when he travels to Ecuador, to the Darien Gap in Colombia and Panama, he'll be able to see more of what's going on in that journey. He'll see thousands of people trying to go across the Darien Gap, that strip of jungle that migrants are using to reach Central America and then North America, Mexico and the border with the United States. And he'll get to see some of the reasons why these people are making that decision. It's a complex decision, often influenced by family ties, social networks, and where factors like I said, economic opportunity, but also reasons like bad government, corruption, violence, and even climate change are now coming into play.
Well, and on that point, Enrique, many of these migrants they're not coming from Mexico. They're coming via Mexico. So even if the mayor were to be successful in trying to dissuade migrants from heading north, and I'm not sure that saying you're not going to be in a 5-star hotel is going to accomplish that, because that's not why people are coming. As you say, they're fleeing violence, they're fleeing poverty, they're coming for economic opportunity for their families. What options do these migrants even have if they did want to listen to the mayor?
Well, I think that's a key question, Lana. The legal pathways to migration to the U.S. have been reduced in the last 3-4 decades. They don't have as many options as they did in the past. There's not a circular movement of migrants when they come to the U.S. and then they can go back to their communities after having worked here for a season. And most of all, like you said, they're not Mexicans right now. It's Venezuelans fleeing a dictatorship, people from Nicaragua, Cuba, and places where bad government is forcing this decision upon them and where they can't be deported back. So I think that's the real challenge for the U.S. government right now, not just for the city of New York.
All right, Enrique, thank you.
Thanks, Enrique.